Hey everybody, what's going on? It's episode number 15 of the Audible Farm podcast. I'm your host. My name's Peter Stockdale. This week I'm sitting down with John Waugh. He is the godfather of Three Finger Betty. He's, the main singer-songwriter. He plays most of the solos. We kind of give him the headway on most of the stuff to do in the band. He does a lot of the booking and everything. I mean, that's his baby. So if you enjoy Three Finger Betty in any aspect, make sure you give him a nice tip of the cap because that's one of his babies there. I mean, he also plays guitar and sings in the Shitkickers, which is another Des Moines area band that he also started. And the Shitkickers and Three Finger Betty have a nice connection somehow. And John's going to get into that in the podcast because he knows a lot more about that because that's his history. So stick around, listen to the podcast. Got some information coming up in the outro on some shows and such, so stick around and listen to that. But this is episode number 15 with John Waugh. It's the Audible Farm podcast with your host Peter Stockdale. What's up, man? How you doing?
Not bad.
So sitting down today with John Waugh. What's up? I'm sure people have heard me mention your name plenty of times on the podcast, but you are...
Is that a good or a bad thing?
Well, I mean, you are the main singer-songwriter, guitar player dude in Three Finger Betty, and you are, one of the dudes that is the main...
dubious honor.
The main driving force behind the Shitkickers as well. And I mean, let's for people that don't know what the story is, I guess, Three Finger Betty is probably the first band that I ever really tried to add any sort of my own artistic value to in any fashion. And I mean, super props for inviting me in on that. I appreciate it.
No worries. It adds quite a bit.
Yeah, where did Three Finger Betty start out at?
Okay, let's condense the history here. So I had moved back to Des Moines with my beautiful wife from Cedar Rapids,
all right,
where her job took us over there. And friends of a friend, I'll give a shout out to, if he listens to one, Brad Shea, because he knew a guy named Jeff Perkins. And Jeff Perkins and Cale Rowe had a band going that they were calling the Shitkickers, and invited Brad and myself to come over and jam.
Yeah.
I had written some songs, and this is 2008.
Yeah.
I had written a bunch of songs between 2005 and then, 3 or 4 of which Three Finger Betty still plays.
Yeah.
So we went to this jam thing, and it was at Jeff, I usually call him G-Off. That's how he refers to himself. So
yeah,
let's just get that out of the way.
That's based on the spelling. So yeah.
So we went to G-Off's house and had a jam session, and it was, for me it went really well, and I won't go into it, but at the, nothing happened that night. We had our fun, and the singer and bassist from the Shitkickers, Cale Rowe, he said, "Hey, we're playing this show at the Fremont, and why don't you come to this show?" Sure, no problem. And I went, and they had another guitar player with them, and it was okay. And I said, that was fun. I'd like to keep playing. And they asked me to come back, and we did another thing, just me, unfortunately. Then next thing you know, they're like, "We want you to be our guitar player."
All right, so you went and jammed with these guys, and they invited you to a show to watch them play with their band, and then you guys ended up starting your own band after the fact.
I joined the band.
Okay, so you joined Shitkickers then?
Yes.
All right.
And then all of a sudden, Cale would have a song here, and he had a couple songs, and I just arranged them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can play guitar this way, and I can do this, and I can do that, and it works really well.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I have some songs I wrote. What do you think of these? And it worked. And when the Shitkickers, when we started doing that, basically Cale sang the songs he wrote and I sang the songs I wrote. So we had 2 vocalists.
That's pretty cool. I mean, you ended up with that. I don't know. Who could we give as an example of this? Like maybe Pearl Jam. I don't know. Like
Well, but
not quite, because you're not
No.
singing both at the same time.
no.
No.
Somebody, depending on whoever wrote the song, did the lead vocal for
There
the
you go.
song, basically.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
And that Fastball of all bands is the one popping into my head. That their
well.
hit was the lead vocal on their hit song wasn't their lead singer.
Yeah, I mean, go figure. But-
That's a bad. I can't, for some reason, I can't think of an example of a band that switches vocalists like that all the time. And
Yeah, I don't know. I'll
surely plenty
right
of them.
now. Yeah, there's probably a ton out there that we're snubbing, like just fresh off the bat. But yeah, he's scanning through a stack of records now, trying to find a band to see if he can find one.
anyway,
And at any rate, so you guys end up, you're like what, 4-piece now?
Shitkickers were 3-piece.
3-piece.
I was guitar.
So they
Co-vocal.
They let the other guitarist go then at that point.
Yeah.
Or? Okay.
That was and I think he lives in Texas now.
Okay.
Screamin' Jay. Let's shout out to Screamin'
Screamin'
Jay
Jay.
of the Rebel Jail. They were fun, and he earned his nickname. But so we played a St. Patrick's gig at the Fremont.
All right.
7 years ago now, something
Yeah.
like that. And that was our first show. And then we played another show at the Fremont, and that went well. And then all of a sudden, we got a show at the Gas Lamp, which we didn't deserve to be there.
Yeah.
That was our 3rd show.
the 3rd show. That's pretty awesome. Like, especially back in the day.
Yeah. And played a few more. And, we were having a lot of fun for a while. And life happened. Cale has 2 lovely children. And, he couldn't commit the time for a while.
Yeah.
I mean, it's rough. You got to live your life. You got to work your job. He had 2 kids. So all of a sudden, it was kind of just me and Geoff at practice most of the time. And that's nothing personal there. But we're just kind of like, okay, well, I'm still writing songs. I guess maybe it'll just be us for a little while.
Yeah.
And so we, through Craigslist, there was a kid named Harrison, which if he somehow listens to this, Harrison, hit me up because I'm just curious where you're at. Because he was great and he was young. I feel bad. I didn't realize how young he was for like the first practice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh crap, this kid's 17.
Gonna corrupt the youth.
Yeah, but he could rip it up, and it was great. He had a great attitude, so he had fun, but we never played a show with him.
Yeah.
And things happen. Finally, we had an opportunity to play at a private show in a basement a little over 5 years ago last Halloween, basically.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was just me and Geoff.
Oh, that's on.
It's
YouTube.
on YouTube.
Oh,
if you look at
Redline the shit out of it, man.
if you look at Fester Rage, I believe his YouTube channel, if that's still up, buried somewhere
it
in
is
that
still there.
YouTube channel is that
Not only is
Three
it still
Finger
there,
Betty.
not only is it still there, but since I managed the 3 Finger Betty YouTube page, I created a playlist with those songs and put it on the 3 Finger Betty YouTube page. So you can actually go to the 3 Finger Betty YouTube page, click on the playlist, and find it there. So I mean, that's totally there.
you can watch me play a Lou Reed cover then, because he had just passed away, so I insisted on playing a Lou Reed song that night.
Well, what was it? Let's hear it.
Waiting for My Man.
There you go. Actually, yeah, I do recall you playing that song on the video, actually, now that you mentioned that.
But we did that, and then we didn't do anything for a while. And it's been a long time. Through Craigslist, we found, I ended up with a bassist named Jeff Furch, or I hope I said that
Yeah,
right.
it's
He won't tell me. So
I'm 98% positive that's correct.
who is still the bassist for 3 Finger Betty.
Yeah.
And we, got some songs down, and we ended up playing our first show with him at the first ever Two Broke for the Arts Fest at Vaudeville Muse.
Oh, yeah,
way
yeah.
back when, and we were the first band to play the first show,
Believe it or not, I was there.
and we were terrible.
I cannot recall whether or not I was there to see you guys play, but I do
Probably not.
I've been to almost every Two Broke show that's happened, and we're on 5 now.
6 maybe.
6. It'll be 6 next year. Yeah. Is that right? Yeah, it'll be 6 years next year. So yeah, I mean that's actually a pretty crazy thing that you guys make the lineup and end up doing Three Finger Betty, the debut show. It's at Kelsey Magnolia, a Des Moines local artist. She puts on a show every year at the Vaudeville Muse, and she calls it the Two Broke for the Arts Festival Fest because the Arts Festival, it costs a lot of money to be at the Arts Festival, and some artists don't have the revenue to do that. So she gives everybody an outlet during the same weekend to come to a place and show their art to a bunch of people. And there's also music there, and it's kind of an all-day event. So it's pretty awesome that she actually does this, and she's been doing it for 5 years, which is insane to have the dedication to do it for that long. So, I mean, shout out to her for doing that.
And it's always a good show.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I go there, and it's stupid to say this, but I consistently underestimate the bands where it's just like you go there and you're like, all right, this would be cool, and then they play and you're like, holy cow, these guys are awesome, like almost regardless of who's playing. They're always good. So I mean, so that was your first show with the Betty.
Yes, and I was super nervous because I was like, every band on this is way more experienced and way better than us.
Yeah,
and blah blah blah, but we did it, and we played, some time went by. We were able to get a foot in the door at the old Hull Avenue before Jason Boggs took it over.
Yeah.
And we played a couple times there. And then some things happened. There were personal issues, and we won't go into that, but we lost Geoff along the way. And we played a couple shows at a place that's not there anymore called Mom's Place, which was really fun. We experimented with a lead singer that wasn't me. I
want to say there's some of that online too somewhere.
Oh God,
I
don't know if I could listen to that.
I think it is.
I don't know if I could hear that,
but
that didn't work out too well. But the funny thing about that is we had lost Geoff and we had the gig scheduled, so I needed a sub, and Clint, the current Three Finger Betty drummer, played one of those for us.
Yeah.
And it was a place that I wish was still there called Mom's Place, but it's not. So, and things evolved. We finally ended up with a really cool dude. Probably doesn't want me talking about him, but he goes by the name Max Warden on Facebook, and he has a cool band called The Witch Elm. I think he was in Rhonda is a Dead Bitch with Emery from The Sleepover at one point. He came in, met him through Craigslist, and I really liked him. He was a different drummer because he was a singer guitar player first.
That's cool.
I believe. I haven't talked to him in a long time. Kind of miss him, but
yeah.
And he came in, and I loved the way he drummed. I mean, he kept time with the ride, and he just hammered it like the Grant Hill from Husker Du.
Okay.
But it was different. Nobody else played like that around here.
Yeah.
But it worked. And whatever. I'm not sure why. Still, he just wanted out. Whatever.
Yeah.
That's cool. It happens. He has his own band and he's like me. He's a little older. He's in his 40s, and things happen.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
So then Clint wasn't doing anything because Dark Mirror, unfortunately, Clint Blomker was in Dark Mirror for a long time. One of the best metal bands I ever saw in this town, and I'm from Des Moines.
Yeah, they were definitely one of those bands that everybody knew of. They had just enough reach to reach almost every type of metal that people enjoyed. Definitely a mainstay here, and it was sad to see him go, but it's just the way that it goes sometimes. So, I mean, that was that. But we ended up talking about that in episode 1, I believe, with Clint. So, if you want to, get a little bit of Dark Mirror history, that's where that's at.
That's where you go.
Yep.
But he wasn't doing much, so he was happy to come on in, and then he stuck around, helped us do a demo in 2016.
Yeah.
And excuse me.
Yeah.
Once the lineup was solid, I was like, let's start playing. Jason Boggs had taken over the Hull Avenue at that point, remodeled it, made it really nice. He was happy to book us. We started playing in there a lot
Oh yeah.
Playing the Fremont and had a good year. And then we were talking one day, like, well, should we get a different singer and let me just play guitar? Or should we do, how do we fill out the sound? And Clint mentioned you.
Yep.
And I was like, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, like you and I had interacted a little bit in the past. I mean, we used to go to independent pro wrestling shows and stuff. 3X Wrestling in Des Moines. We used to see you there a lot, and I mean, you and your wife. We used to see both of you there a lot, and I mean, I hadn't seen you too much because I kind of quit going to wrestling shows as much as I used to, and I mean, you guys weren't there as much either. It's just kind of the way it goes. Interests change, life stuff, whatever. It's just the way it happens. But I mean, it was kind of cool to be able to be invited into a band where I kind of knew the people, but like, you and I weren't like close personal friends. I don't even think we were Facebook friends. Like, but
we weren't.
But I had known you through independent wrestling.
I know this guy likes wrestling and hard, fast, and loud music. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it was kind of convenient because it was like at the time I was relearning how to play the guitar. I guess I don't want to say relearning, but I was starting to really figure out what it took to play the guitar actually, and it was kind of nice to be able to lend my learning and my talent to somewhere else instead of just playing in the basement all by myself and just pretty much wasting it, I guess. But yeah, I mean, that would have been like early 2017, late 2016, because we played our first show together 2017. I believe it would have been like January 17th, 2017, something like that. Anyways,
probably at Hull.
Yeah, it was a whole show, I believe. But otherwise, we had a show at Fremont. Our first couple shows, we ended up playing at Valor Ballroom. Even
that was nuts.
That was crazy. Like a 2-hour set for like on a third or fourth show. That was
so random. I think Clint had an email he came across that was old.
Yep.
Saying, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And I was like, "Well, how many people walking around here says we've played the Valor Ballroom?"
Exactly.
like I saw Primus there. I saw
Wilco
there. I saw a bunch of bands there that are big.
Yeah, I mean, like I was just like one of the places I always used to go see shows. I mean, like I had seen Corey Taylor and the Dumbfucks play there. I mean, I had seen like Fozzy there.
Was that a New Year's Eve show?
Yeah, dude.
I think a friend of mine got thrown out of that show.
Dude, those were baller shows, and that's like one of those like dark horse things that like somehow I got ragtagged into going to one of those, and it was tons of fun. I've got a really fun Corey Taylor story that I probably won't tell on the air, but if anybody wants to hear it, I would be more than happy to tell it in private. It's nothing bad, but it's just a really fun story, and it gets kind of colorful in some spots, so I'm probably not going to divulge too much on a podcast, but it's there. So if you see me at a show, ask me about it. I got a good one.
I'll ask you when we're done with this.
Yeah, definitely. I'll tell you when we're done. So you do the Three Finger Betty thing, but like there's also Shitkickers still going on, right?
Yeah, and that was weird. I'm very happy about that because it's a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. I thought the Shitkickers was just dead.
Yeah,
just dead. I mean, we stayed friends. It wasn't like that, but
yeah, it's you, Geoff, and Kale.
Yep. Yeah. And then there was Geoff was working through stuff he had to work through, and he was doing a lot better.
Fuck yeah.
And there was this opportunity to play at Rats Underground Records, used to be the Underground Rock Shop.
Yeah.
I think this was the Zombie Walk after party show.
Okay.
For 2017, whenever it was. And I think they were interested in Three Finger Betty.
Yeah.
And whatever reason, Clint or Jeff couldn't do it. But we had Geoff and Kale and I had actually got back together and had a couple practices at that point, and we weren't talking about playing a show, but I was like, it's been a while. Do you guys want to do this?
Yeah, why not?
And we did it. And Matt Graves was still at the Rats Underground full time at that point. He had a lot to do with that show, I think.
Yeah.
And it went great. And it was like our first show in 3-4 years. And I think we played good. We got a good reaction.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going to happen. And so that went well. So I was like, well, let's do it again.
Yeah.
And occasionally now we practice every other week or so. And play shows here and there.
Yeah. I mean, as of late, you guys have been playing quite a few shows, it seems like.
Yeah, it's weird how it works out. We'll get a bunch and then we won't do anything for a while. And
Yeah, I mean, that also seems to just be the way it goes with bands in general around the area. You'll end up going to seeing the same band a handful of times in a handful of months, and maybe people get busy or maybe they just like don't get booked as many shows, or maybe they're recording an album or whatever, but it ends up being like that. You get the accordion bookings a little bit.
But, we're just having fun. Shitkickers shows, there's like no pressure at all. We're just gonna get slightly drunk and have fun.
Yeah, I mean, every band has their MO, their like mode of operations, but it's still just like it's whatever it is. Every band I've seen has their own way of doing things, and I think it works out for every band that has at least some sort of longevity. Otherwise, it wouldn't have the longevity it does.
Like, we might record something someday, but there's no time frame, no pressure. We got a payout at the last show we played, and I was practically had to force Kale to take it. I swear. I'm like, no, here's the money. Put it in your pocket.
Yeah, it's just one of those.
He doesn't care about that.
Yeah. I mean, that's something we talk about in podcasts a lot. Is it something because he doesn't get a lot of payout at shows, or like?
We don't, and it was never about that. But
yeah.
But when we get it, hey, we got paid. Here's some money, and they're whatever.
It's like what do I do with this? What do I do with this money?
Take the money, buy a pack of cigarettes or whatever.
Yeah, it's just whatever. But so you guys end up playing. Like you played with the Rumors recently at Boggs Hole Avenue Tavern. I couldn't make it to the show because I was out of town at another show, I believe. But
that was a great show.
Yeah, I heard that show was off the hook.
They, of course, the Rumors packed the place.
Yeah,
the place was full.
Yep. Props to the Rumors.
And they rock.
Yep.
They're just fun. If you like straight up rock and roll, loud, with big guitar solos, go see the Rumors.
Oh yeah, they're tons of fun. It's kind of like your 80s metal-ish, but it's still rock and roll kind of feel because they don't go too heavy with stuff. But it's there's a chick singer, and so you get this kind of like
you get a Joan Jett.
Bingo, yeah,
big time,
and it's awesome, man. It's not something you get to see every day, so it's really fun to actually get to go see those guys play, guys and gals.
Yep.
So
2 men, 2 ladies.
You got it.
And I think they're out of Waterloo.
Yeah.
For anybody up there.
Yeah, they're baller. They play a lot of shows. And they're another one of those bands that does accordion bookings. They'll do tours, and then they'll take a little bit of time off.
Yeah, they're signed to Kieval Records or something, an indie label, so they have a label.
Yeah, and I don't think I don't know if they all live very local to one another.
I don't know. I know their guitarist is in a ton of bands.
Yeah.
And I think he lives in Cedar Rapids because Shitkickers played with one of his bands called Brotherhood of Mudcat, Stu Frondel.
Yeah.
And that was an interesting show. That was kind of fun.
We played with one of the other bands. It was Space Virus.
Yeah, Space Virus and the fog machine that wouldn't quit.
Oh man, that was insane. It looked like the Fremont was on fire. It was bad.
Yeah, that was different. I like Space Virus. I don't think everybody liked them. I liked them. They were different.
Yeah, that's what I think I enjoyed so much about it was different, and man, they had like costumes and stuff.
Yeah,
it was
crazy masks.
It was gnarly. It was a good show.
But yeah, I think he might live in Cedar Rapids, and the others live in Waterloo. I have no idea.
I don't know. It's not like that's the other thing. It's like the information's probably on the internet, but it's not like I'm going to stalk somebody to figure out where they live. It's just like you want to play this show or whatever. But I did actually see him at the John 5 show that I went to in Iowa City. It was awesome because I got to go up and say hi to him, so shout out Stu Frondel.
Yep. I think I've played enough shows with his bands. He recognizes me now, so all right.
Yeah, they're good guys, good people all the way around.
But that was a great show, and Blacked Out World was on that show.
Oh yeah. We played a show with them before.
We played with them, and their lead guitarist Marco is so good.
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, and that's just it, man. I think there's so many bands that get undersold at shows, whether or not it's like they get put in front of the wrong audience or there's just not enough people there that seem to quote unquote care about what's going on or whatever. But like, there's so many bands that are so good that we've played with over the years because we've played like 50 shows together in the last 2 years, and that's what was neat about the Shitkickers show.
everybody there was there to see the Rumors and Blacked Out World. Nobody gave a crap about us or knew who we were. And then all of a sudden, everybody liked us.
Yeah, it gives you the opportunity.
And like we had a full bar that was into it.
Yeah, and that's awesome because it gives you that opportunity with a clean slate to go in and show people what you're actually made of. And it's cool that you've got the Shitkickers and you've got Three Finger Betty, because you do actually split a few songs between the two bands, and they sound a little bit different.
Well, originally I wanted to keep playing 2 songs specifically. One I helped write, Shotgun.
Yep.
Basically, Cale wrote the words. I wrote the riff.
Yep.
And then, God Damn It was a song I always liked that Cale had written, and I kind of finalized the arrangement. And I was like, I want to keep playing these songs, and Cale didn't care, so I learned the lyrics.
Yeah.
And now both bands get to play them.
Yeah, it's pretty cool because, on occasions as Three Finger Betty went to play a couple songs, and we end up playing the Shitkicker version intro, and it throws us off a touch. Like what we played at the house show.
That happened at the house show.
At the house show we played recently.
We totally screwed up the first half of God Damn It.
Yeah, and the best part about that was we've all been playing together for so long that we held it together because it came back to the second verse, and we were all back together.
Yep.
And so we were all
keep going.
Yeah, we all played enough, and it's like, do we want to just stop or nah? Let's just keep going.
That's always been my rule. No matter how bad you screw up, don't quit playing the song.
Yeah,
because the people watching don't know you screwed up.
Yeah, they're gonna think it's so much worse if you just completely stop and start all over. Unless it's like the opening note. If you hit the opening note and everybody messes up, then it's just like, all right, hold on a second. But if you're 10 measures in, don't just be like, wait a second, wait, let's start over.
Just work through it. It'll be fine. What most people don't know, there's usually one song at everybody's show where something like that happens.
I mean, that happens.
It's you just okay, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that it goes because you end up at. I mean, I'm in 2 bands, you're in 2 bands, and then Clint's in 5 bands, and it's just it's tough to keep all the music 100% straight all the time, and sometimes you miss a cue that somebody gives you to play a certain part, and I mean, that's one of the benefits of playing together so much though, is once somebody messes up, Clint is probably the best drummer at this to give you an accent to catch up. Mm-hmm. He's probably the best drummer at that because he can figure out who's off and how to get you back on.
Clint has a little snare roll that I've learned to hear, and I've never said this to him. It's the, John, you're off. Here's the snare roll to get back into with everybody else. And he does it when I'm screwing up or I'm playing the solo too long and I should have gone back into the song. And I know, because he does it the same way every time, if he hits the snare like that, it's time to switch.
And that's probably the most beneficial part about him as a drummer. He's easily one of the most talented anyways that we have around the state. But it's still one of those things where he's just got the ability to vibe with the other musicians, and some of that just comes from playing together so long, like we all have. We end most of the Betty sets with a jam session, and we just kind of dink around somewhere in the key of E minor and go with it, and it's close to the same every time, but not the same every time, and we kind of just dinker around, and there's a couple parts where we come back together after falling all apart, and it's kind of neat to just have that ability too. I mean, I've never been able to sit down and jam with too many people. I learned with Dan Blair how to jam a little bit, and that's kind of how I learned. But it was nice, like I said, going to a almost foreign location, but not too foreign, and I get to see some people I already know and play some music with them, and actually add to these jam sessions they have at the end.
Jamming's fun. I learned how to play lead guitar when I lived in Arizona, and I went through basically a hippie music phase because the people I fell in with, that's kind of what they listened to at the time, a lot of Fish.
Yeah.
And they played acoustics, and I was like, oh, cool, I got somebody to play music with. And when the first time I did it, first few times, I'm like, they're taking off on these improv solos, and they're playing forever, and I'm just like, okay.
Yeah.
I'll just keep playing the chords.
Yep.
And then I was like, I kind of figured out, they don't know what they're doing. They just go for it.
Yeah. And I mean, some of it is just noodling around. I mean, unless you really want to hammer something out extremely specific, like if you're playing I mean, even some guitarists have different styles. Like Iron Maiden was one of my favorite. They always talked about how Adrian Smith mapped his solos out very, very specifically and played every note very directly. Where like you get your Yannick Gers, and it's just like Yannick doesn't map any of his stuff out. He's just goofing off most of the time.
I don't write a guitar solo. I don't know how.
Yep.
Now, I've played these songs enough. A lot of it starts to get more consistent.
Yep.
But it was never designed that way. And sometimes I get bored. I'm like, I'm going to start it up here.
Yep.
You can't see me, but I'm going to start it at the top of the neck instead of up on the 12th fret.
Yep.
To change it.
Yeah, just change it up a little bit.
Because there's no written part there.
And that's also some of the beauty of it is there's nothing that's 100% set in stone, which leaves like even I sometimes get bored of playing just power chords, and I'll add like little fills and stuff in there.
You should do that more.
And it doesn't, and it's funny because it's not like it's the greatest stuff to accent the song ever, but it's just kind of stuff that it doesn't mess anyone up because it's not out of place, and the song's never exactly the same every time anyways. So, you know, why not? But like when you first started playing guitar, what was like the first song you started learning?
The first song I learned from start to finish, this will date my age, was About a Girl by Nirvana. That was the first song where I actually learned the guitar solo in the song.
Well, that's cool. So like, did you like learn it for a band or just learn it for personal amusement?
I wanted to play guitar. I had no band. I came to it a little later than some people, so Des Moines clicky, and I won't rant on that. But I came to it late enough. I was never a part of the clique of my age, so I didn't get to play in bands when I was in my 20s.
Yeah,
I got to play with myself, pun intended.
Huh. Yeah.
So I learned songs I liked. I figured out real quick. Oh, that's a power chord, huh? Okay.
Yep.
Well, I can play everything the Sex Pistols ever wrote now.
Yeah, and and that's one of the things I'd like. Des Moines is a little bit clicky, but I think every place you go is a little bit clicky, and it just has to be like, some of it has to do with like preference of music, because like the metal guys don't hang out with the rap guys, don't hang out with the punk guys very much, or like whatever,
which is stupid.
And it is, but you'll find that most places, and I think the benefit of me coming down to Des Moines and playing shows, because I don't live in Des Moines, is that I don't have any frame of reference for any of this. So I meet people and I don't know if they're a punk person or whatever, and I don't have any boxes to put anyone in because most of my interactions with people are pretty fresh. So I'm just like, oh, this guy came to the show and he said he liked it, so cool, and is a nice guy or whatever. And so I end up with this nice little perspective on a lot of that kind of stuff that I guess I never really thought too much about, but it, that interaction that you have with people at shows is also kind of an awkward thing, because it's tough to sit there and have somebody be like, dude, you guys played a great show, and I'm like hauling my gear outside and it's like, thanks, and it's kind of like almost embarrassing when somebody says that to you, but it's not. And like I don't know,
you get over that. It is embarrassing for a while because we're musicians, and whoever was it, not Clint Blomker, Clint Riedel was saying on an old podcast, like, we're musicians, we want you to pay total attention to us for 2 hours, but after that we don't want to talk.
Yeah, it's pretty much true though. Like, it's not like we're all antisocial. I mean, hell, I got a podcast, and I'm not like the best at talking to people. I'll be the first one to tell you that. But it's not like I'm not friendly, So I'll interact with almost anybody, given the chance. So if you see me at a show, just come say hi. But it's I don't know. Like I said, like if you stepping outside of the bounds is kind of the fun part about like playing in places, because I didn't know who to get with in the northern Iowa to play music, so I came down to Des Moines to play music, and I still don't really know. Like, I'm not involved in too many of the, I don't want to say cliques, but the cliques of musicians up there. I don't know who to jump in with to play like what kind of music, to go where to. I just don't have any of the information. I don't know where to book shows, who to contact, how they pay. I don't know anything about any of it. Like, even in Three Finger Betty, I don't book almost any of the shows. And right now we're in the process of
just New Year's Eve.
Yeah, just the New Year's Eve show. So that's the only one that we're in the process, like, I have ever like 100% by myself booked a show.
This guy, I don't book any shows. I just booked the biggest payout the band ever got.
Yeah, that happens. It's happened to. it's weird because the offers come in from all sorts of weird places. Like I've gotten offers from the Afterlife in Algona. Is that still the name of the place?
I think it's Lifers Lounge now.
Yeah,
maybe.
there you go. So,
And I would love to play up in Algona.
yeah, the only problem with that was it was short notice. Where I told them we were taking bookings because we had the next handful of dates free, and one of the dates that we had free we couldn't all make. It was like, oh, can you play this Friday then?
Yeah.
And we couldn't make it, so that was like
2 days notice.
Yeah, and it was unfortunate because
2.5 hours away.
because it makes us kind of look bad for being like, hey, we'll take a booking, and then they're like, how about this day, and we have to say no. But it is, I guess we did give them a window of dates, and they chose one of those dates, and it's my bad, So that's where I'm like learning how to like book shows correctly still, and it's kind of the benefit of like not knowing anybody, but kind of knowing everybody a little bit, because I'm always at the shows, so I always see people and I always interact. But
it's hard. I mean, I'm very thankful to be able to book at Boggs Hall or Fremont or Marv's Music, which we need to talk about.
Yeah.
And places like that. But there's other places in town where, I'm not going to call them out or anything because I'm not taking it personally, but where I don't get response. Like you have to have heard of Three Finger Betty at this point in this town.
But I also feel like some places have the ability to choose who they want, so they end up, it's like an invite-only type deal.
And that's certainly true. Why would you want us if you can get a national tour?
Yeah, and, like, the other thing that's kind of tough, I've mentioned it a couple times, not everybody wants a potty mouth punk band at their venue.
No, but
and I understand that. We're not going to play at like some sort of a lounge type establishment where people are eating steaks, and there's like a fireplace.
Yeah, you never know, they might like it.
Yeah. So
people have senses of humor. Come on.
Yeah, that's something I actually sell so short, just based on like what you see every day, and that's just. You just think like based on social media and the news that everybody hates everybody, and then you go out to the shows and you realize that not everybody hates everybody, and it's like why does it?
I think most people know. People still can recognize satire when they hear it.
I hope so, because I mean, like sometimes we'll introduce songs and like this song is about Trump, and it's like, did you vote for him or did you not? I don't care. Doesn't matter. We're just going to play a song about him, and you can laugh with it if you want to and take it seriously or not. But this is what's going to happen,
Like some of the songs, I'm equal opportunity. I'll rip on the comrade in chief, and I had a good 5 years there ripping on Obama before him. So,
I mean, you got to be fair, I guess.
Like there's a song called a Betty song called "Let the Flames Rise," and it's not totally about this, but the inspiration for it was I turned on the news, and this was when Obama was in office. I'm not trying to turn this into politics, but they shot missiles at some third world country for whatever reason. I'm like, man, that's just fucked up.
Yeah.
And so I wrote "Let the Flames Rise" based off how I was feeling about that news story and blah blah blah. And Trump just makes it easy. Like comedians, I'm old enough. I remember Dan Quayle and the King George I, and comedians, like their job was so easy during that time because Dan Quayle would say something stupid every day.
Well, let me ask you this though. Sure, Trump kind of softballs some of the things in there. Do you think it's low hanging fruit now at this point though? Like how many Trump songs you need to write, man?
I don't need to write any more Trump songs. I mean, it's too redundant, but it's
because that's definitely not what Three Finger Betty's about. We're not like we're not like a political activist band that's choosing a side and telling you to vote.
I'm not choosing a side.
I honestly don't give a crap. Like I've voted third party so many times and gotten so much flack for it from both sides I don't even care anymore.
I think I've voted for a major mainstream candidate once in my life. I'm 43.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's just the way it goes. But like that comes back to the point where like you go out to shows and nobody cares about who you voted for or what your political. Nobody gives a crap about any of that stuff. Everybody actually just came to see you play, have a good time, and that's all that we're there to do is just to have a good time.
I get angry. It's punk rock, and I write a song that might have socially driven lyrics, but I'm not endorsing a candidate. I'm not endorsing a philosophy here. Yeah. I'm just saying I think this is screwed up, and this is why. And here's a song.
Yeah, I mean,
Bob Dylan protest songs.
And honestly, like some of our most famous songs that we have, I guess, as
aren't
those. And I mean, like, we go places, and those aren't the songs that people want to hear, and it has nothing to do with the fact that, you know, they're not good songs, but like people just tag onto these super catchy throwaway songs that we write.
People come to these bars to have a good time and hear party music.
Yeah, and that's something else that you're also pretty good at writing, like songs that have that comedy vocalizing that people just know that what you're saying is a joke. And
I hope so.
well, there's no, I don't know how you would take
if you take some of that stuff literally, you got
I don't know
problems.
how you would take almost any of it seriously. Like, it's not that it's like not to be taken seriously, but it's like we don't have anything against any of the people that we write songs about that sounds like we might have something against. Like, half of it is just like storytelling in a comedic light, you know, like these people are almost real life living comic book characters, you know.
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of what we're portraying in music.
Mosh Pit Johnny is about a guy who comes to rock and roll shows and gets really freaking drunk and causes problems.
Yeah, and I mean, it's
not about anybody.
No, it's not about anybody super specific, and it's like, you know,
but everybody knows somebody who does that.
Yeah, and that guy is now Mosh Pit Johnny, you know, and that's one of my favorite songs to play. I mean, I feel like that song's one of our tightest songs start to finish, and I love playing that song.
Our fun song we played with a great band, Ramones tribute band, Shock Treatment. It was the first time it was when we played. Betty played with the Rumors last summer. We were loading in, and it was the guy Jody Ramone from Shock Treatment, and he shook my hand. It's a pleasure to meet you. He's like, and he goes, "Are you guys gonna play Too Fat to Fuck tonight? That's my favorite song. I love that song."
Yeah, I mean, it's so funny going places, and that is our free bird. Like, we'll be playing, and people at the Muse, it's dark, and you can't see who's yelling it, but people are like, "Play the fuck song," and they're like yelling it from the back, like, great,
okay,
great, but you know, at the same time, whatever. Here you go. I mean, it's what everybody wants to hear. So rock and roll.
Yeah.
I mean,
I like the song. I wrote it.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, I don't have anything against any of the songs. Like, I wouldn't be playing any of them if like, I mean, I've never been one to cause a problem anyways, but I wouldn't be playing any of these songs if I had any issues with them, and I surely don't. So it's fun to be able to just like jump into a band where, you know, everybody's just there to have a good time and nobody's there to cause any problems with anybody, and it's like super low stress environment all around, but we still sound tight. Like,
it's about fun.
You still have the ability to like cross over genres a little bit, because it's like punk band, easiest thing to call it, because it's like kind of comedy vocals and kind of fast drumming, but there's also like ripping guitar solos, like, you know, like some metal dude might have in there, but there's also like rock riffs involved.
And it goes back to, you know, my version of punk, and this, I'm not trying to get clicky, but this is where the clicks come in. My version of punk is old 70s punk. Like Dead Boys.
Yeah.
Ramones.
Yep.
That stuff. Sex Pistols. They didn't necessarily call it punk then, because that's a marketing thing.
Yeah.
The Dead Boys were a rock and roll band. We played at CBGB's.
Yeah.
We have guitar solos.
Yeah.
But we're crazy, heroined up lunatics at the time.
Yeah. If you don't know who the Dead Boys are, it's super ridiculous.
It's obscure.
Go look it up online and watch some of their live stuff. It's pretty wild.
The guy would the singer would safety pin, cut some meat to his shirt.
Yeah.
And blow his nose into him and eat him on stage. Okay, folks. I mean, this is debauchery.
Yeah, it's like shock and like awe kind of music, but it was actually
like Iggy Pop cutting himself and rubbing peanut butter all over his body.
Yeah. What's the deal with Iggy Pop? Why is he still ripped and he's like 90,000 years old now?
Heroin either kills you or turns you into Superman.
I guess so. Jesus Christ. No, that's definitely not a recommendation for that.
No, don't do that stuff. No. It's bad for your health.
No, and that's something that is also like, everybody has this like weird sort of like black veil over musicians to think that we like all super party, and it's kind of funny to be in like, I don't even drink.
Yeah, like Pete doesn't drink.
Like nobody really actually parties at all, and I sometimes wonder about that. The fact that I don't drink, does that negate some Three Finger Betty bookings because they know they know a guy in the band is never going to pay any money at the bar other than for a soda? Like, I don't know.
I wouldn't think so.
I hope nobody's soured off by the fact that I don't drink, but you know,
like when we played the house show, I was feeling iffy. I didn't drink at that show. I didn't like when the audience passed a bottle around, it's kind of my position as the front person when they handed it to me. I'm gonna have to take a pull off it, otherwise I'm a jerk.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
and that's cool.
and that's, I don't know, some of those like social situations where like what I got involved in, it's like I don't want to drink, and then it's just like, I really don't have to if I don't want to, and then I don't know. Everybody always offers to still buy me drinks at shows, and I freaking love it because it's just like, nah. I used to always take them and then just give them to a friend.
There was some comedian once who, I don't know if he's talking about drinks or something, but whenever it's like, hey, can I get you this? You just say, no, but can I have the money instead?
Almost sounds like Mitch Hedberg, but not quite. Or like maybe a Stephen Wright type deal.
Who knows?
But yeah, I don't know. That's one of the things though. Yeah, like I've always joked a little bit about it. Like if you go to live music, there's always drinking involved, and I've got nothing against drinking, but it's always kind of funny that like you always have to go to like a bar to do live music, and everybody wants to buy you a beer, and I don't even drink at all, and I feel a little bit out of place, but not really.
This gets into some bands' gripe about how they don't get payouts at bars and et cetera, but it's a two-way thing. The bar wants you to be there because they like you, et cetera, but you're there to draw an audience so they can sell drinks to said audience.
Yep.
And you're in a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
You need each other. We need the club because we need a stage to play on, but they need to sell liquor to make money and stay open.
Oh yeah.
So you need to draw enough people to sell liquor for them. That's why they pay you.
Yeah.
Either a guaranteed amount or a cut of the bar at the end of the night. But if you're not drawing an audience, they won't ask you back.
Yeah. And I mean, it's always such a tough deal because like it seems like getting people to come out to shows is almost like pulling teeth sometimes.
That is the hardest thing in the world.
And I mean, like the joke online is always like, how do you get those maybes or interested to turn into goings, or how do you turn all the people that say they're going to actually go to the show?
Nobody knows.
And the
person
tough.
Who figures that out is going to be the biggest band in the world.
Yeah, probably. But I mean, I don't know. That's one of the reasons I started the podcast. Is it's just like, well, here's another outlet to get to know the people that are making the music, that are like going out there and actually putting all the effort forward to go do stuff.
And not to gripe about age, but as you get older, when I was in my early and mid 20s, I'd go to 4 or 5 shows a week.
Yeah.
I go to 2 shows a month if I'm lucky now. And half the time those are shows I'm playing. But I want to go to so many more shows that you just can't.
Yeah, and a lot of it is like, I mean, like we were talking about earlier, growing up, you got a family and a kid, and you just got to do things a little bit differently than you did in your 20s because you just can't go out and party every night.
Can't drink every night.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way that it goes. I mean, some of that comes with age. And also, speaking of age, like something's got to be said for like, there are like some guys that are younger that are awesome at ripping up their guitars, but don't sell any of the older guys short, because those guys have been playing their guitars for 30, 40 years and they are smooth as butter. Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed a few of the people that are like some of the older musicians, and I mean, they are insane to watch because it's second nature.
Yeah,
you know,
you get a guy who's what was his name? Random story. I mentioned Harrison earlier, who never played with us on stage, but Harrison had a boss. He was this cool older guy named Cliff, and he came to a Betty practice once. So it was me, Geoff, and Harrison, and Cliff used to be in traveling bands. This is so long ago, I cannot remember. I don't remember his last name. I don't remember what his band was, but he had a nice rig with him, and he came in and he came there, and I was like, what? And he's like, well, this Harrison kid, I really like him. He works for me, and he told me about this band. I wanted to check you out and see if I could give you some advice because I toured for 20 years before I settled.
That's awesome.
And sweet, nice to meet you, and he started I was like, what did you play? And, I played I like rock and roll, but we played a lot of R&B and mainstream stuff because, we did it for a living. So we needed to appeal to a pretty middle of the road audience most nights.
Yep.
But I'm a rock guy. I'm like, okay, cool. And then he hooked it up and he's like, let's play Red House by Jimi Hendrix. And I didn't know the song, but it's a blues song.
Yep.
So he's like, shows me the key, and we start playing it. And then he ripped the solo, and I'm just like, oh my God, this guy can play.
Yeah, dude.
Holy crap.
Yep.
But, at the time, he's 60-some years old, and those older guys,
Yeah, dude.
they might play folk music, and that's what their band or their thing is.
Yeah.
But you give them a distortion pedal, a good amp, and a wah, and watch them rip.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I've seen so many bands, and it just comes from being like, I live in a smaller area. There's not very many big towns around, so you don't. I mean, that's most of the musicians are these guys that have been playing all their lives, and some of them do it for a living. So you end up getting to see some awesome musicians, like even in just the cover bands and stuff. It's just awesome because even you just know that regardless of what music style, like you said, they can rip it up with the best of them. So.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I love watching almost any kind of music just for that fact.
Yeah.
I mean,
We all have the type of music we like
yeah,
more than other types.
yeah, and I mean that's one of the reasons I like going to that rock and picnic in Humboldt because it's like a mishmash of everybody. You get older dudes, younger dudes, you get rockabilly, you get blues, you get rock and roll. I mean, you get everything. It's just kind of neat.
You know, we briefly mentioned Des Moines can be cliquey, and we'll just leave it at that. But I would love multi-genre shows. I love multi-genre shows. You go in there, and the first act is a rapper.
Yeah,
and he tears it up and gets the crowd moving and jumping, and then a rock band plays,
dude,
just a standard rock, and then a metal band just shreds it, and there's a huge mosh pit, and then a punk. I love that, and for whatever reason, shows like that don't seem to draw a crowd, or we're here to see the hip hop band, and then we're leaving.
And then they take off. Yeah, that happens.
No, listen to the other stuff. When we did that house show last year at Halloween, the show was over, but there were some dudes down there that wanted to freestyle rap, and Kyle from Thorhammer and Lightning Wolf, he got on the drums first, and he was doing it was a slow, but it was a metal beat. He was double bassing, and this dude freestyled over it, and it was great.
Yeah, I mean, like, I oftentimes thought, like, one of the bands that had the best models for a concert was Van Halen, because they'd always have, like, oh, Casey and the Sunshine Band is opening up for us, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it's a party.
It's party. That's exactly what it was. We want people to come here and just enjoy themselves. It's like, you get to see Van Halen and the coolest house band ever, and they're not a house band. It's friggin' Casey and the Sunshine Band, where every one of their songs is going to make people feel friggin' awesome, and I feel like that would be awesome, like, a nice way to do it. An MC at a show would be really cool if you could find somebody that like just had a turntable and they were like the DJ in between the bands while everybody switched out, and they just sat on the corner of the stage and they got to do like 15, 20 minutes, and they're like, and here's this band, and then when they're done, they get up like, yeah, let's hear. That's almost like having a hype man for everybody. That would be so cool.
When I lived in Arizona, I got into roller derby, and roller derby had 3 periods. How they did it, flat track roller derby, and down there, they always had a punk band who would play in between the periods, 20 minutes.
Yep.
It was great.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I mean, just never sell the live music short. There's so many people making live music out these days. And speaking of making live music, we've got a couple shows booked. I mean, the next show we have would be the New Year's Eve show. We're still in the process of booking it. Right now we've got 2 bands.
We need a third.
We're waiting on
anybody's listening.
And we're waiting on our third at this point at the time of recording.
Do not make me do acoustic covers. Nobody wants to hear me play Wonderwall.
We can find a third. We're trying to find the right third band, I guess is what we're doing at this point in time. But otherwise, we'll be able to fill it out one way or the other. But it's New Year's Eve show in Humboldt, and that's actually where Clint and I are from. It's where we grew up, and we're hoping
Cat's trying to eat your cord.
Yeah, we're hoping to see just a ton of people that we know. We played up there for a house show a couple weekends.
That was great.
A few weekends back for a birthday show for somebody. That was an amazing show. There were tons of people there. It was great to have that show. Another show we've got coming up is Marv's Music in Des Moines.
Marv's is a newer record store. I don't think it's getting maybe close to a year for him, but I think he's been open less than a year.
Yeah.
The owner of Marv's Music is a guy named Brian Davis, who played bass in a band called the Holy Rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Kale from the Shitkickers was the singer in that band, and they were a straight rock and roll band, and they were really good. And they didn't play a ton of shows, so a lot of people never heard of them.
Oh,
but they were really good.
Yeah.
But he's got this cool record store in the East Village in Des Moines, and he puts on 2-hour shows on Saturday nights. And it's just really laid back. They're free shows, all ages. It's not a bar.
Yep.
The record store's open. You can buy a record if you see something you like while you're there.
Oh, sweet.
And Brian's just a really nice, laid back guy who loves music. He's got a sound system in there that's good.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
Yep.
And there's really, outside of Woolies, which is a bigger club that gets big national acts, $25 to $50 ticket bands.
Yep.
Other than that, there really hasn't been a venue in the East Village since House of Bricks went out.
Yeah.
So now Marv's kind of filling that void. Shitkickers played a show with Call Me Music a couple weeks ago there, and that was awesome.
Oh, yeah, man. That comes back to Shitkickers getting a lot of bookings recently. You guys are just killing it. I don't know exactly what's going on, but keep doing that. I don't even think we mentioned when the show at Marv's is. Do you know what day that is?
January 12th, Saturday night, 7 to 9.
All right.
It's just Three Finger Betty. We're doing a 2-hour show.
Oh, sweet. So it's Saturday night, 7 to 9. That's what day was it? January 4th?
January 12th.
12th.
Place I really like to eat if you want a good sandwich. There's a little sports bar around the corner called Quentin's. There's a bunch of other restaurants around there. You can eat, come to the show, hang out. It's a cool little area. There's places to go out after the show.
Heck yeah.
Brian's laid back. If you want a beer during the show, you can bring your own.
Yeah.
He doesn't mind. So,
yeah.
It's going to be a good show.
Yeah, so we got a couple shows coming up. If you want to check our Facebook, most of those shows will be on there. We don't always get tagged in the events that we're playing, despite always asking to. And I don't want to be that band that creates a duplicate event for an event. But so not all of our events will be in the event section of.
But I created the event for Marv. So
okay,
that's
that we're on that one.
And,
but the New Year's Eve show, we've shared it plenty of times on the Three Finger Betty page, so that'll be on there for sure. But yeah, if you want to check out any shows, definitely Three Finger Betty on Facebook is probably the place to go.
If you want to hear our music, please listen on Reverb Nation because I like to see the chart position.
Yeah. Other than that, we've got social media all over the place. There's
and shout out to the guy sitting next to me doing the podcast for doing a lot more of that because I am a Luddite.
I don't know, man. It's been my thing. I was just kind of, I don't want to say raised on the internet, but I was always a little bit technologically savvy. So it's just super easy for me to take care of that stuff, and I'm happy to do it because it doesn't take too much effort. And we got Instagram, we got Twitter, we got the YouTube page, which our YouTube page is full of stuff.
Lots of videos,
just tons and tons of. There's like 200 plus videos on there or something. It's insane. So there's tons of live videos of us playing. You can watch me. If you start at some of the first stuff I recorded and go all the way till the latest stuff, you can watch the videos slowly get better in quality. As I figure out what I was doing. But yeah, we're all over online. You got Shitkickers stuff online?
Not a lot. Sorry, Kale. You're supposed to be in charge of that, and you don't do crap.
Yeah.
I should take that over.
You do have an Instagram.
We do?
There's somebody that is the Shitkickers on Instagram that follows Three Finger Betty and comments on our stuff.
Okay.
So
if that's Kale or Geoff, thank you, because we have like 72 likes on Facebook because we don't do a goddamn thing with that Facebook page.
Yeah. So
I think we set that up when we got that gas lamp show because they required some kind of online presence for us to be on the show.
Yeah.
And I had nothing to do with it.
But oh man, yeah, social media for
I think
bands.
we have a few YouTube things out there like JIC Media, and there might be some Audible Farm stuff.
Yeah, I've got one of your sets on there, the most of the set at least. But God, just setting up that social media and stuff, I feel like is so important. So much of it gets undersold.
Shitkickers should really do something about our crappy Facebook page.
Yeah, I like your guys' Facebook profile picture for that page. It's hilarious. It's one of those baby cages for a high-rise apartment.
See, you get it from the old row houses. Singer's last name is Rowe. Get it?
Yep. Okay, I get it. But yeah, anyway, so you got some Shitkicker stuff. You're on Facebook at least. You can go check them out there.
You can find us.
Yeah.
We don't do a lot of online stuff because again, it's not about that for that band. We just want to play locally and have fun.
Yeah. Three Finger Betty, kind of slightly different story.
We want to play locally and have fun. We'd like to play more than locally and get paid.
So we do play a handful of shows out of town. We're slightly selective about it, but it's also, we all have a life, and
yeah, we've been to Kansas City. We've been to Minneapolis. I would
Iowa
love
City.
to get to Omaha. We've been to Iowa City.
Yeah, I've tried to hit up the guys in Blackheart Booking, whoever's running that. I've tried to get a hold of them.
We'll get there.
And it was A13 Booking, I believe, over there too. There's a handful of booking places over there. I would love to get a hold of some of them and play over there.
It's probably, we should hit it.
But
anyway,
that's for another time. We're getting, we eclipsed an hour here. We've talked about quite a bit of different stuff. Do you have any Shitkickers shows coming up?
We're going to be on a show at Hull Avenue on February 9th.
Cool.
That is a Saturday night, and that is through, while we're here, because we've played, Three Finger Betty's playing on his shows here. That is a Dominic Derringer / Crazy One promotion show.
Yeah, we've mentioned Dom in the podcast before, too.
Very, very cool dude.
Yeah.
Does a lot, and I don't think he takes a dime for his efforts either, which is really cool because he deserves better.
Yeah, he barely takes a cut for doing any of the promotion that he does.
He puts on one show a month at Hull at least.
Yeah, and Dom, if you're listening, you got a hell of a Facebook approach. I feel like you should do a little bit more with that Crazy One promotion page, but at the same time, man, you've got an insane reach on Facebook. You know so many people.
He knows a lot of people.
You're always contacting. So if you're ever looking to do a booking anywhere, it's worth it to hit up Crazy One promotion because he knows a lot of places. So
yeah.
He can at least put you in touch with another band that can get you a booking or a venue that can get you. He's really good at it.
And he's for a younger band, or if anybody's listening, I don't think he's very picky. He will give new bands a shot.
Yeah, he'll give you an opportunity. It's just kind of up to you to bring it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool. We've played a handful of his shows. We always get to play with a nice mishmash of bands, a little bit of a mixed venue type set. A lot of them are at Bull.
We wouldn't know TV Cop if we hadn't played that Dominic show.
Exactly. We got booked that show with Sports Team when they were Sports Team, and man, that was a hell of a show. The best part about that show, I've mentioned it before, but I had somewhere I had to be, and I ended up going late because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna stick around and watch one of these guys' songs. And one song in, I was hooked, and it was like, all right, well,
I was in the same situation. I insisted that Betty play first on that show so I could leave.
Yeah, because we all had somewhere to be, and then it was just like, geez, these guys are tearing the house down. So yeah, hit up Crazy One promotion on Facebook. I think that's Crazy with a K.
Yep.
And then the number one.
The number one.
And then promotion.
The logo is a skull smoking a cigarette. So if you're wherever Guns N' Roses fans back in the day, that ought to appeal to you.
Yeah, no kidding. But so we've plugged a whole bunch of different places. Not even getting paid for them, unless you're getting paid by Marv's Music to talk about how awesome it is.
No, and part of it, it's what. I've mentioned it a bunch of times. Des Moines can be very cliquey, and what Des Moines doesn't understand, we're all in this together.
Oh man,
we gotta support each guys. Guys, women. I don't care if you're a metal band or a punk band. If you're in a rock band, you got to take care of each other because there's not a lot of us, despite what it may seem like.
Yeah, and I also feel
the scene is ours, and we got to take care of it, and we can't piss all over each other.
Yeah, that's one of the things that sometimes online you'll see infighting between people, and it's funny because I don't know enough people down here to, I can't pick a side because I don't get a full story. I just ultimately don't care because I'm not from here, and I'm older in my life now. Where my 20s was when I cared about most of that stuff, and I've talked to a lot of people about it. I talked with Eric a little bit about it on one of the previous podcasts where I wasted so much time in my 20s being angry at things. I just don't have time for it now. And it's not like, I don't know, I'm just indifferent to the whole situation.
And truth be told, I sit through, on shows we're on, Shitkickers or Three Finger Betty, I sit through bands that I just can't stand.
But
it's not for me.
It's not made for, they didn't make the music for you.
It's not my type of music.
Doesn't
mean they're bad.
No, it's kind of like saying you pick your favorite pizza place and then you just go to that place and it's like, this pizza sucks. Well, does it suck? No, it's just not made for you. It's not your type of pizza.
What you like.
Yeah, Some people don't like tomatoes and some people do, or whatever it is. Not everything is made for you, especially art, man. Art is not made.
Yeah, art is so subjective.
Yes, and that's one reason you should never take anyone's negative opinion seriously on any of this stuff, because it is subjective. And I mean,
And it's subjective plus some negative opinions. Honestly, I firmly believe this. Some people, I don't have anybody specific in mind, so there's nobody this is vaguely directed at, but it's just over the course of my life, there are people who are like, everything, this sucks. It's because you don't have the balls to get up there and try it yourself. And you're jealous of the people who do.
that was one of the reasons when I started playing music, my tune changed so fast, because it was like I realized how much work I have to put into this. Think about how much work they have to put into this, and they have to put into this, and every other band has to put into this, and it makes, because now I have a better frame of reference. It helps me appreciate everything so much more, because it's like these guys are putting all their free time and energy and work into doing this. They're getting 4 people together, planning out practices. Everybody showed up at a show to play the show. The music was tight. It all sounded good. And just because it's not my favorite type of music, I'm not going to be like, this sucks. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense.
It takes a lot of work. Band we've played with that I like, and not everybody's going to like, but I like them. Thunderscore, I was involved in the beginning stages, but I wasn't able to stick around.
Yeah.
But somebody else who didn't stick around made a comment once like, well, we're going to have to write 100 songs to get 10 good ones.
Oh,
like, dude, come on.
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know where I was going.
I don't know either.
I lost the thought.
But I don't know. It's some of it comes down to being self-conscious, though, too. Like I was so self-conscious, I wouldn't be caught dead playing music in front of people. Some of that comes from when I was younger. I was in bands and we'd play places and screw up, and people would just laugh at you because that's what kids do.
Yeah.
And all of our peers would just laugh at us while we were playing on stage. Believe it or not, like we played some of our shows. There's some of the earliest recordings you can hear like kids laughing at the band I was in on the VHS tape louder than you could hear us playing. And it's like, well, I don't ever wanted to go through that again. So I was always so self-conscious. I just never even made music. And that's like I said, through my 20s, I was so negative, and I feel like that's what fueled a lot of that negativity. And now the fact that I'm actually going out and trying to do things, it's changing my tune so fast, because I realize that it is a lot of work, and these people actually have guts to go out there and do this, no matter who it is. Because it takes a lot of, there's people that won't even do public speaking, let alone try to make art that is a timescape, because that's literally what you're doing, is you're showing people 5 minutes worth of audible art, and there's people that don't even want to go out. It's just the way that it works. So I've like I said, like growing up, I grew up so much in the last handful of years, just realizing that
it's just one of those things. People can like songs I write, they cannot like songs I write. That's okay, but this sounds arrogant, which I don't like, but I wrote that song. I created something out of nothing.
Yeah,
and if you don't like it, I'm okay with that. But I like it, and I think it's worth something. So I'm gonna go up on a stage if they let me and play it.
Yeah.
I remember playing a show. Yeah, I have to tell this story. When I was in Arizona, it was a one-off deal. We played, me and a good friend. We just played covers on a porch, college house party.
Yep.
And somebody, it's probably not on the internet, but somebody had a camera and was recording part of it. And I remember when I saw it, all I remember is somebody in the background just over and over again, God, these guys suck.
Yeah. Oh, man.
And I'm like, we showed up and performed. What did you do?
Yeah. I used to think that same exact thing where, it's tough to go in with that mentality, but you have to have the confidence level of like, well, I'm playing this. It's not like they could do any better. Maybe they can, but that's the best part.
Maybe they can, but they don't have the guts to do it.
That's the best part, though, is like when I almost want to call people out on it and then watch them go up there and do better. And it's like, that's what I'm talking about. I came here to see some good music, and these guys are ripping it up. So it's not like a call to arms, but it's almost, it's one of those deals where you just can't be so self-conscious that you think that everyone's going to hate it, because some of the people that hate things have no frame of reference, kind of like me through my 20s. Like, I hated so much stuff with no reference level on it for any reason. And that's just life growing up, man. You just gotta keep going. And I've been trying to push as much positivity to to everything that I'm involved in through my 30s now, that I'm starting to see it kind of bleed into other people's lives and take effect, because like I said, through my 20s I was so negative, and it was kind of nice to have. I dated a girl that was like the polar opposite of me. She was always super positive, so it was kind of nice to have somebody that was the opposite to kind of even me out. And then when we broke up, it was like, well, now I need to be the polar opposite of that. So I ended up having to do that myself, and it's kind of nice. Like I said, going through life and learning things and having a better frame of reference, and it's just what it comes down to. And thanks for like giving me an opportunity for an outlet for music, and like. That's pretty much the fuel for this podcast, was getting to know some of the musicians, and it's like, well, I want to give them this place where they can go out and kind of just say whatever they want and do whatever they want to do on a microphone with me, and I'll ask them questions and let everybody get to know each other a little bit, because maybe that's the reason that nobody goes to some of these shows, because I like so many different kinds of music, and I just feel like everybody deserves the opportunity to be heard by somebody.
Of course.
So.
And when this makes you rich and famous, please remember me.
Oh man, what we talking? Three Finger Betty? When Three Finger Betty makes me rich and famous?
when this podcast makes you rich and famous.
Oh man, I don't know. I still haven't.
You're the Wolfman Jack for the millennials.
I don't know I don't know what that is.
You don't know?
No.
I'm old.
Yeah, oh man, and I'm the one that usually is saying that, because I'm going to Iowa Central referencing stuff that. I go to school with a bunch of kids that were born after Seinfeld was over, so that's where I draw the line at how old I am. But it's just like, geez, man, these kids are young. So either way, man, I appreciate you sitting down doing the podcast with me.
Anytime.
I mean, we've been talking about doing it for a while, and I've been kind of like waiting on this, because you and I are always around talking to one another. So I'll definitely have you back on here.
Sure.
Whether or not you want to promote something.
I think you should have Kale on here someday.
I would love to have Kale on here. Kale's a hell of a guy. He's always super fun.
And he's funny.
Dude, he's so funny.
People won't turn it off.
Oh man. So yeah, once again, thanks. Appreciate you inviting me over to do the podcast with you, because everything I got's pretty portable, and I don't have a studio. So
all right.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Are you ready to play a show in a couple hours?
Yeah, this is actually recording this before we're going to play a show, so let's give a shout out to that. We're going to play a show here in a little bit with the Sexually Aggressive Silverbacks, the Astro Bastards, and Morbo. And Morbo is one of the guys from Haunted Infringement / Ghostbusters by name, whatever. I don't know what it's. Haunted Infringement.
Haunted Infringement for legal purposes.
Yes, I have verbally called them Ghostbusters because it's funny, but it's legally cannot be called Ghostbusters. So they are haunted, but it's not even that. It's Morbo. So I'm kind of excited.
Morbo's 515.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what's going on.
He's cool.
Theatrical,
I like that guy.
theatrical for sure. So I'm ready to see that. But Astro Bastards and Sexually Aggressive Silverbacks doing a little EP split. So I'm kind of stoked to hear some of that stuff.
I'm gonna buy one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited they got some stuff recorded. So. I mean, that's probably should be one of the next things we do for Betty, is get into that studio and get something solidified as a 4-piece.
That's the next step.
I think so. So, anyways, maybe that'll be the next time we bring you in here, is when we get close. And
then
to that.
all of your listeners can buy a copy.
Woo woo. Yeah, it'll probably be online anyways, streaming for free, and that's where.
Oh no, the recorded album won't be free.
All right,
sorry, folks. Everything on Reverb Nation right now is free, so get there while you can.
There's tons of live stuff and all sorts of stuff, and I mean. You and I have talked about it a little bit, debated like whether or not we want to try and make some people pay for some of this stuff. But I always feel like it's better to just, I don't know, kind of let most of it out there for free and give everybody the option to pay for it if they want to, or give them the bonus material if they want to buy stuff. Like our studio demo that's on everywhere online, there's like 4 or 5 bonus songs you get if you buy it from us.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's the only reason we did it that way. It's just kind of the way it ended up working out, and it worked out kind of nice because we don't charge too much for the demo CDs, because we didn't put too much money into the demo CDs, because it's just a demo. So
yeah, like if you buy a physical copy at a show, it's like $2 max.
Yeah, and you get everything that's online plus
like 4 songs,
4 extra songs. And otherwise, if you buy it online, it's like $7 because it's like 99 cents a song. Otherwise, you can get it on Spotify Premium, and then you can rack them plays up, and we can get no money for all the plays, because whatever.
You can say, look at how many people listen to us, and we got 20 cents.
Yep. So that's just the way it works. But I don't know. I'm not bitter about any of that.
No, we're joking around.
Dude,
here.
It's actually pretty fun to see your stuff like our stuff. It's you guys were the ones that recorded the EP, but like it's the logo and it's all online. It's kind of neat to see that,
Oh, yeah.
Like 10,
This
10, 15 years ago, I wouldn't have expected anything like this, and now it's just like, holy cow.
all I wanted out of the Shitkickers, which evolved into Three Finger Betty, was to have a band I enjoyed playing in that could play around where I lived whenever we wanted.
And that's
We blew that goal away 4 years ago.
yeah, dude. And I would have to say this is probably one of like the most low stress environments I've found to hang out in on a constant basis. It's just like being around all you guys in Three Finger Betty, because we're always just out here just to have fun, and nobody's climbing up anyone's butt about any opinions we have about anything. That comes back to
This
like
is not an ego band.
no, this doesn't. It comes back to like the political thing. Nobody cares who is what politically. We all just get along with each other because we all know we're human beings and nice people. So but-
I write songs because I watch the news and I get pissed. So
yeah, so
that's as far as it goes.
yeah, come out to a show. You can check us out in Northern Iowa at that New Year's Eve show, or the January 12th show.
January 12th,
at Marv's in
Records
Des Moines.
East Village, very cool place.
Yeah,
If you are in the Fort Dodge, Humboldt, Algona, Webster City corridor, the Poorhouse New Year's Eve is the place to be.
Oh,
We
yeah.
got Ancient Elm locked in, and
Yeah.
we're going to get somebody else.
yeah, we're gonna get somebody else. I've asked a handful of bands that would be an insane draw for Humboldt. So we'll see what happens. I've yet to get a word back from a couple of them, but it's going to be a great show. Poorhouse and Humboldt. It's the classy place to be.
You're going to hear every song Three Finger Betty has, plus some more.
Yeah, I mean, you'll hear some Shitkickers songs. We're going to play a couple covers here and there. It's going to be a great time. I can't wait. So thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No worries. Thank you.
Yep.
It's been a while.
Yeah, we'll check you next time.
Hey, what'd you think of that one? That's a pretty good one. I enjoy sitting around talking to John. He's usually got a pretty good perspective on everything that's going on. You can follow all of his bands, including Three Finger Betty, the one I'm in, and the Shitkickers. They're awesome. We've played a handful of shows with them sometimes. I got all the links down below. I try to do my best to put all the links to everybody's creative stuff anywhere I can, in the comments section of pretty much anything, or in the description section of the podcast itself. So make sure you check out the bands. Go give their Facebook pages a like, listen to some of their songs and whatever. Every band I've interviewed so far, every musician, all their stuff they do, it's so good. Speaking of which, I actually went to one of the jam nights in Barnum that Clint Riedel hosts, and I did a podcast with him not too long ago, and I had a blast. I'm usually pretty nervous about going out and playing in jam session type deals because I'm pretty self-conscious about my playing ability, but it was a low pressure situation. I went out there, I watched some cool people play some awesome music. I jumped in on a handful of songs. As the bar started clearing out, I even jumped on the drums for a while. That was tons of fun. It was a great time. I mean, I had fun just sitting there watching everybody play and talking to them. I mean, that was pretty much the coolest part. And not to mention, there was so many people that came up to me and said they listened to the podcast. That's humbling. Holy cow. Thanks everybody for giving me a shout out in public. I can't believe that. Like, I know people listen to this. I see all the stats, but it still kind of just wows me that people will come up to me and say, "Hey, I enjoy listening to that," and I appreciate it, guys. I really do. I'm not very good in social situations, believe it or not, but I appreciate you guys coming up to me and telling me you enjoy listening to this, because I don't do it for me. I do it for all the people I'm interviewing, because I mean, that's all I really wanted, was to go out and have a podcast to listen to that talk to local musicians, and I guess since there wasn't one, I was the guy who made one. So after that jam night in Barnum, I actually ended up playing in the house band at the Patty's Pub Third Thursday Jams in Fort Dodge, Iowa. That was tons of fun too. Shout out to Jeremy Ober for inviting me to play in the house band for that. I did an interview with him a couple weeks back, if you want to check that one out. Man, he is so good at playing the guitar. It's insane. He's a diamond in the rough, a gem for the Fort Dodge area for sure. So just go out and watch some of his bands play. I mean, he's just super entertaining. He's always at jam nights. He's one of the hardest working musicians around my area, that's for sure. So go ahead and check him out. I mean, double down on that. That was tons of fun. I also got to mention the show I went to last week. I was at Three Finger Betty, played in the Sexually Aggressive Silverbacks and Astro Bastards CD release. They did a little split and released some songs. Astro Bastards got their songs on Spotify if you want to check that out. It's a pretty awesome time. And I gotta say, it's not often that Three Finger Betty is the least entertaining band on stage or has like the least energy, but holy cow, the other three bands brought so much energy and stuff. I was in awe watching Morbo play, Morbo's 515. Holy cow. I mean, it was almost like watching an Alice Cooper show. It was pretty crazy. They had tons of stuff going on. The sexually aggressive Silverbacks absolutely killed it, and I don't think I've ever enjoyed the Astro Bastards as much as I have. Every time I see those guys, they get better and better and better, and they're so fun to watch. They got so much energy. Love watching them. I can't wait to play a show with them again. I mean, it's tons of fun. Speaking of Three Finger Betty, don't forget to check out our New Year's Eve show. We've got a New Year's Eve show coming up in Humboldt, Iowa at the Poorhouse. It's going to be a great time. We're playing with Ancient Elm and another band that is yet to be announced because we are still in the process of working out the negotiations with them. But we're going to have 3 bands there, guaranteed. It's just the way it's going to be. Three Finger Betty and Ancient Elm. Ancient Elm is a heck of a metal band. I mean, you got to check them out. They're on Spotify too. I'm hoping to get an interview with one of those guys at the show if we ended up having some time before or after the show. So stop out, check that show out. It's at the Poorhouse in Humboldt. That's New Year's Eve. Otherwise, if you're going to a New Year's Eve show somewhere else, let me know where it's at. Shoot me something on Twitter or Facebook or wherever. Audible Farm is everywhere. If you want to do an interview with me, make sure you contact me. I've got tons and tons and tons of personal friend requests coming in on Facebook. And a lot of people, even though I try and contact them, don't contact me back and let me know who they are. And I know some of the people are in bands and stuff, and I know some people don't use Facebook too much, but if you want to do an interview, just get a hold of me. My schedule is kind of busy, but I will try my best to work with everybody as long as it fits into something that I can work with, because I don't do a whole lot of Skype interviews. I do most of my stuff face-to-face. So just let me know what you think. Get at me at a show. Maybe I'll have an Audible Farm sticker. I handed out a few at the Patty's Pub Third Thursday Jam session in Fort Dodge the other day. It was tons of fun. So, I've always got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm not always the best at talking, like I said, but I like to meet new people. So just come out and say hi to me. Like I said, it's great knowing that people listen to the podcast. Thank you for all the outpouring of support from everybody. I mean, from everybody. It's coming in everywhere. So I really appreciate it. Stick around for next week's episode. Follow all of the Audible Farm whatnots. I got social media everywhere. There's also the YouTube page that has videos of some other bands. I do a little dabbling and recording and video editing and stuff like that. So if you want to check that out, go for it. We had like 10 subscribers a month at least, so it's kind of neat. So appreciate that. Thank you very much for supporting me, everybody. I will have another podcast next week. I hope you enjoyed this one. We'll check you later.